Nothing has a stronger psychological influence on a child than the unlived life of its parents. These words by Carl Jung aren't just poetic. They're a mirror, and maybe, just maybe, that mirror is showing you something you hadn't noticed until now. Because without realizing it, you might be carrying the weight of a pain that isn't entirely yours, the weight of a story that didn't begin with you, but is living through you. And sometimes, this pain has a name. Father. Did you grow up under the sound of constant criticism? Were you told that nothing you did was enough? Or maybe it wasn't even that clear. Maybe what hurt the most was the silence, the absence of affection, the lack of presence, that emptiness where love should have lived. And now as an adult, you push yourself harder than anyone else ever could. You compare yourself endlessly. You chase approval like it's air, but deep inside, no matter what you achieve, you're still that child, waiting for a voice that never came, waiting for someone to say, "I'm proud of you." What no one tells you is this: that wound doesn't just go away, and worse, if you ignore it, it won't heal. It will lead you. Sabotage your relationships, control your reactions, and whisper to you, even in your highest moments, you're still not enough. But here's the truth that changes everything. That pain is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal. In this video, I'll walk beside you through this process. It won't always be easy, but it will be freeing. Together we'll uncover why the absence or the harshness of your father figure still echoes through your life. We'll name the feelings you were taught to bury. We'll explore the wounds you hid, but never stopped bleeding from. And most importantly, I'll show you how to heal, how to take the pain that once held you down and use it as a foundation to rise. Jung once said, "You are what you do with what's been done to you." And that means you have a choice to stop the cycle, to rise above, to transcend. Do you feel like you're always on edge? Like you must succeed just to feel safe? Like you carry a weight no one else sees, but one that drains you from the inside? That feeling, that invisible exhaustion, it often has roots in your relationship with your father, in the expectations he never voiced but somehow demanded, in the love he withheld, in the absence that felt louder than words. And let me be clear, it doesn't matter if your father was physically absent, emotionally distant, overly controlling, cold, or even present in body but absent in heart. The impact is real, and often devastating. Carl Jung helps us understand something powerful. The inner child doesn't disappear with time, it just hides, and while it's hurting, the adult becomes reactive, trying to fix something in the present that happened long ago. Have you ever wondered why criticism hits so hard? Why you feel small around authority figures? Why just when you're on the edge of something great, you pull back, sabotage, collapse? That's not weakness. That's the wounded child screaming, "What if I'm not enough again?" The first step to healing is this: acknowledge the pain. Look inward and say it out loud. Yes, I felt rejected. Yes, I felt invisible. Yes, I still crave his approval, even if he's not here anymore. And let me tell you something powerful. That's okay, you're not broken, you're not alone. This wound is more common than you think, but only what is embraced can be transformed. Jung said, "What we deny in ourselves controls us. What we accept sets us free." So today, give yourself permission to feel, to remember, to speak. Because the story you tried to forget is still shaping your life. Maybe you're tired of repeating the same painful patterns, of always feeling almost enough, of shrinking in your relationships, of carrying a quiet sadness that you've never been able to explain. So many of these feelings come from the father you had or the one you never did. The truth is, your father also had wounds. He passed on what he couldn't heal. That doesn't excuse it, but it helps you understand it. And when you understand, you stop repeating. You're ready for this path, because if you've come this far, it means the pain has already started knocking, and it doesn't want revenge. It doesn't want blame. It simply wants to be seen, to be healed, to stop being a burden, and start being a turning point. Let's begin by recognizing one simple truth. There's still a child inside you, a child who's afraid, who misses something she never received, who's still holding on to an impossible hope, that one day her father will become who she needed him to be. She tried so hard to be perfect, to behave, to impress, to stay quiet, to not ask for too much. All of this just to earn love that should have been unconditional. This is the inner child, or as Jung called it, the child archetype. It represents both our deepest wounds and our greatest potential for healing. And that child is not weak. She's not broken. She's the key to your transformation. Maybe you grew up hearing things like stop crying, man up, don't complain, be strong. At first they sounded like harmless advice, but over time they became something else, a shell, an armor, a prison. You learned that showing emotion meant weakness, that asking for affection made you needy, that silence was the price of acceptance. So you buried your pain, you convinced yourself you were fine, you moved on. But the pain didn't. It hid, waiting. It came out in moments of anxiety, fear, and unexplained rage. It whispered through your relationships. It screamed through your self-sabotage. But here's something powerful. You can stop running. The first true step in your healing is this. Acknowledge that wounded child. Take a moment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself what's still hurting inside me. When did I first believe I wasn't enough? When did I learn that silence equals safety? The father figure, psychologically, represents structure, limits, validation, and direction. When this figure fails, whether by absence, anger, instability, or indifference, our inner world collapses. We lose our anchor. We doubt our value. We stop trusting ourselves. We grow up afraid to say no, afraid to rest, afraid to be seen. According to Jung, we all carry inside us unconscious images of our parents, and these images, more than the real people, shape how we see ourselves, how we treat others, and how we relate to the sacred. So if your father became a source of fear instead of love, a voice of pressure instead of praise, a presence of rules instead of warmth, then yes, there's a mark, a deep one. You may still love your father, you may even understand his limitations, but part of you still feels hurt, and that doesn't cancel the love. It confirms your humanity. You may remember moments when he was physically there, but emotionally unreachable. Or you may remember being yelled at, compared, belittled. And as a child you responded the only way you knew how. You adapted. You performed. You became the perfect son, because survival demanded it. The real problem? That mask you wore, you're still wearing it. Today, you might be the adult who tries to control everything, who's terrified of disappointing others, who can't rest without guilt, who doesn't know how to say no calmly. And at the root of it all, there's a child who never got the emotional validation he needed. But here's the breakthrough. You can break the cycle, you can rewrite the story, and it all starts with one decision, to feel the pain instead of running from it. No more rationalizing it, no more excusing it, no more hiding it. Just feel it. Now picture the child you were. See their eyes. See how hard they tried. See how much they carried. And silently say, I see you, I feel your pain, and I'm here now. I've got you. This may seem symbolic, but symbols are powerful. They speak directly to the unconscious. When you recognize your inner child, they stop acting out in the shadows. They stop screaming for attention in your impulsive decisions, in your fears, in your relationships. They begin to trust you, and that changes everything. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Your father may no longer be here, or maybe he's still emotionally distant, but his voice lives on, in your inner critic, in your self-doubt, in your fear of taking up space. This is what Jung called the shadow of the father, the unconscious imprint of everything you experienced. And as long as it's denied, it controls you. But the moment you name it, it loses power. Let's go deeper now. Let's talk about a powerful act, simple yet transformative, writing a letter to your father. It doesn't have to be elegant. It doesn't have to be delivered. It doesn't even have to be read by anyone else, but it does have to be honest. Write everything you never said, everything that hurt, everything that still hurts. Say it with rage, say it with sadness, say it with truth. No filters, no shame. Just raw honesty for you. And when you're done, do whatever feels right. Read it aloud, burn it, tear it, or save it. The act isn't about the paper. It's about the release, about pulling that pain from the silence and giving it voice. Because what's been expressed no longer controls you from the dark. Jung reminded us that healing doesn't come from denial, but from integration. You don't need to erase your father. You don't need to pretend he didn't hurt you. You don't need to idealize him either. You simply need to see him for who he was, a man shaped by his own pain, a human being who could only give what he had, and what he had may not have been enough, but now you're the one leading your story, and that requires something powerful, responsibility, the responsibility to heal, to stop the repetition, to rewrite the narrative. Because pain was not your choice, but healing can be. And this is the next step, rebuilding the image of the Father within you. Not the man he was, but the symbol he represents in your psyche. You see, the inner Father is a psychological force. He's not just memory, he's blueprint. He shapes how you set boundaries, how you handle pressure, how you protect yourself emotionally, how you lead your life. If your inner Father is still the voice of criticism, fear, and judgment, you will always feel like you're not enough, like you must earn your right to rest, like love is a reward, not a right. But if you can rebuild that figure, if you can create within yourself a Father who is firm but kind, strong but nurturing, everything begins to change. So try this. Stop for a moment, take a breath, and imagine, what would a healthy father look like for you? Not perfect, but whole. Present, supportive, protective without control, firm without violence. What would he say to you right now? What tone would he use? What kind of safety would he bring? Picture him clearly. Give him a face, or let him be just a presence. Feel his embrace. Feel his energy. This isn't fantasy. This is symbolic reprogramming. You are planting a new figure in your unconscious, one that replaces the shadow with structure, fear with security, criticism with compassion. This father doesn't need to be real. He's archetypal, a symbol of the healed masculine inside you. He is your own strength, your own capacity to say, "I've got me." With time, this symbolic father becomes part of your inner world. He speaks to the child in you during moments of fear. He offers encouragement when you fail. He brings presence when old wounds try to reopen. You can talk to him, you can write to him. You can let his voice guide you, not to obey, but to support. Because this inner father is really you learning how to care for yourself, how to protect your inner child, how to become the adult you always needed around. And that's the key. You don't have to keep looking for a father out there. You can become one inside. Jung said that true healing begins when we stop chasing external validation and start integrating what's been missing inside. When you talk to yourself like this healed father would, you shift everything. Instead of saying, "You failed again," you say, "It's okay, you're still worthy." Instead of punishing yourself for mistakes, you offer guidance. "We'll get through this together." It might feel strange at first, but over time, this becomes your new voice. And this new voice doesn't beg for love. It doesn't shrink to be accepted. It doesn't fear rejection. It knows its value. You're no longer waiting to be saved. You've become your own protector. Now that you've begun separating yourself from that harsh, absent, or critical internal image of your father, it's time to take one more step, to consciously create the figure of the healed inner father. This isn't just imagination, it's a symbolic act. And as Jung taught, symbols are doorways, not just to our memories, but to the deepest layers of our unconscious mind. The healed inner father is the energy of masculine presence, without oppression, of protection, without fear, of authority, without shame. He is what Jung called the inner king, but not the tyrant king, the wise one, the grounded one, the one who says, "You're safe to be exactly who you are." To access this figure, use what Jung called active imagination. It's simple, but powerful. Close your eyes, breathe, and let an image rise. Not one you force, but one that emerges. Maybe it's a man you've known. Maybe it's a figure from a dream. Maybe it's just a presence, without a face. Whatever comes, trust it. Now place your younger self, your inner child, before this father. Let that child feel his embrace. Let him say the words you've always needed to hear. You're not alone. You don't have to earn love. You're enough, exactly as you are. Feel his energy, his calm, his strength. Let yourself cry if the tears come. Let yourself shake if the body needs. This is the unconscious shifting. This is healing happening on a cellular, emotional, spiritual level. Because now the image inside you is changing. The old critic, the cold absence, is being replaced by presence, by support, by dignity. This inner father becomes your new reference point, and the more you return to him, the more real he becomes in you. You can write to him, ask for advice, feel his hand on your shoulder in hard moments. You can speak as he would, "I see you. You made a mistake, but you're still worthy. You're allowed to rest." These words are not just affirmations, they're reprogramming the deepest voice inside your head, the voice that used to criticize you. That was the wounded image of your real father. But now you're replacing it not with fantasy, but with conscious reconstruction. This is the archetypal father reborn inside of you. And he is everything you've always needed: firm, wise, loving, protective, present. And the most beautiful truth is, he's you. You are becoming the adult you always needed. And in doing so, you're building an emotional foundation stronger than anything you've ever known. And here's the magic. Once this figure lives inside you, you stop searching for him in the outside world. You no longer beg for validation from bosses. You no longer chase love that withholds affection. You stop accepting emotional crumbs because you know your worth from the inside out. Many people spend a lifetime trying to prove something to their fathers, that they're successful, that they're good enough, that they finally made it. But that recognition rarely comes, because those fathers are frozen in their own pain. And they can't give what they never received themselves. The healed inner father breaks that cycle. He is the emotional inheritance you create from scratch. He's the parent who finally says, "I see your heart. I'm here. You're safe now." And when that becomes your truth, everything changes. Your posture changes. Your voice changes. Your relationships change. Because now, you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're walking into the world whole. This father teaches you how to set boundaries, how to say no without guilt, how to say yes without fear, how to love without shrinking, how to take up space without apology. Think about how many times you've stayed silent, just to keep the peace, how many times you swallowed your truth, because rejection felt too dangerous. The healed father inside you changes that. He brings a new presence to your life, one that protects without punishing, one that leads without crushing, one that stands strong. So you don't have to collapse anymore. This isn't just psychological theory. This is the real transformation that happens when you stop waiting to be rescued and finally become your own sanctuary. This inner transformation takes time, but it begins with one sacred decision: to stop carrying the weight of what you didn't receive and to start building what you always needed. Carl Jung taught that healing isn't about perfection. It's about wholeness, about bringing light to what was hidden, about walking through the unconscious, making peace with the shadow, and letting new symbols reshape your reality. That's what you're doing now. And in this final step of our journey, we tie it all together. We bring meaning to the road you've walked, and we seal this process with clarity, presence, and above all, love. So take a deep breath. Look back for a moment. Really look. See how far you've come. You're not the same person who started this video. Maybe the pain is still there, but now it has a name. Now you know where it came from. You know it's not a flaw, not a curse, not weakness, just a part of your story that was frozen in time, waiting to be seen. And you gave it that gift. You looked with courage. You listened with compassion. And that is the beginning of everything. You now understand. The pain your father caused you was never your fault. And forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or minimizing. It means letting go. It means saying, enough. I won't carry the weight of a story that isn't mine. You've met the child within you. You've heard their voice. You've given them space. You've told them, you're not alone anymore. I'm here now, and I won't leave you. You've seen your father, not as a monster, not as a god, but as a man, wounded, limited, and yes, responsible, but also human. That understanding doesn't erase the pain, but it takes away the weight of guilt and replaces it with the power of responsibility. And from this place, you've begun building something new, the healed inner father, the adult within you, the protector, the guide, the presence. You don't have to prove your worth anymore. You don't have to repeat his model. You don't have to be afraid of becoming like him. You've chosen a new path, a conscious path, a path of healing. And no, this doesn't all change in one day, not in a week, but it starts here, right now. With this truth in your heart, I will treat myself with the dignity I always deserved. You no longer have to wait for applause or permission or validation. You're writing your own story now, with your voice, at your rhythm, with your truth. Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you truly are, not who you were trained to be, not who you pretended to be to survive, but who you are, at your core. And what you are is enough. Yes, even with your scars, even with the fear, even with the past. None of it takes away from your worth. In fact, it proves your depth. It shows your humanity. And embracing your humanities is the most spiritual act of all. You don't have to perform to be loved. You don't have to be perfect to be safe. You don't have to sacrifice yourself to keep people around. You can exist fully, completely in peace. Maybe the pain will return now and then. That's okay. Healing is not a straight line. It moves in spirals. But now, you'll know what it is. You'll recognize its voice. And when it comes, you'll know how to respond. I see you. I'm here. You're not alone. That alone changes everything. From now on, start cultivating this new relationship with yourself. Practice internal listening. Protect the child. Strengthen the father. And choose every day not to repeat the pain that shaped you. This is your deepest commitment. To your healing. To your peace. To the life you deserve to live. And maybe one day, if your father is still here, and it's safe to do so, you'll be able to look at him with new eyes, not with expectation, but with understanding, not seeking something, but simply free. And if he's no longer here, or never could be that safe space, that's okay too, because the most powerful reconciliation is the one that happens inside you. And that, you've already begun. You've looked into your shadow, and in doing so, you found your light. As Jung said, we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And you did that here. Now it's time to live from that light. If this video touched you, save it, share it, re-watch it when the darkness returns. But above all, live what you felt. Transform this into choices, into presence, into love. You are not alone, and you never will be again. The pain that wasn't yours now has an end, and the story that belongs to you is just beginning. You. If this message touched you in any way, then please don't keep it to yourself. Like this video right now, that tells YouTube, this message matters and deserves to reach more people. Subscribe to the channel, because this journey continues here, step by step, with depth and truth. And if someone came to your mind while watching, send this to them. Sometimes what you share can be the light they've been waiting for. This channel is a safe space for us to grow, heal, and break free. Together. So you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, and then let's keep walking. The journey is just beginning.